The idea for my film came after looking at loads of different media products, especially one of them called 1,000 Words. 1,000 Words was about a film, it was a short film as well, and the main protagonist, the male character, found a camera on the train and he had to follow the pictures that were already on the camera to find the girl. So it was quite similar to my film, so there's an intertextual reference there. And I really liked it as soon as I saw it, and that's where the idea came from, really. I'd say that my film is quite nostalgic, as I don't think looking at it you could put a certain time era in it. Although the Polaroid came before, this was because the Polaroid camera that I used, I really wanted to use this, so like I didn't want to have a certain era on it, because I think that also, you know, makes it more postmodern and it doesn't focus the viewer on it. It just makes you, you know, want to watch it. The clothes I used also make it quite nostalgic. I decided to just put the girl in plain white with a red ribbon in her hair, although it doesn't necessarily link back to the photos, as there are two different paths. Although, depending on how the viewer interprets it, it could be seen that she did it, although you're never really clear on whether she did or not. As you can see at this point here, that the Polaroid picture that I decided to use is tied up with red ribbon. This is a subtle suggestion to the viewer about the danger or love scene. It depends on how the viewer interprets it. I think if I were to have used it in a too obvious way, then it would have been far too obvious for the viewer. I preferred it as a real subtle suggestion that could be taken by the viewer that's not always noticed. Also at this point here, you can see that I used red lipstick on the female protagonist. This is to show, again, love and danger, but it just depends on how the viewer reads it. There was no wrong or right answer, which is the great aspect of postmodernism.
I think the way the film was made as well, with the clothes that obviously were made to wear, and the way the Polaroids were used in the film, that it appeared quite sort of timeless, so you couldn't put a finger on what era it was now from the 1980s when the Polaroids were actually there. So I think that worked quite well during the film.
I'd also say that my film has quite a closeness to hyper-reality, as having the two scenarios almost is like you're getting a second chance in life. And I think that this is shown really well between the two scenarios, and with the reversing bit in the middle, like you can go back in time, this also has a closeness to hyper-reality as well.
I think the reversal or just before the second scenario does make it quite clear to the viewer what is going on, and obviously I think that obviously from quite a few cuts and takes of the movie that I've seen, this is sort of worked the best way. So it doesn't sort of, it confuses the viewer a bit less. So that again they can see more clearly what's going on. I think it worked a lot better for me, this one. You can definitely see the difference in the two scenarios and where the scenarios meet as such. So I think there's a sense of time, you can definitely see where that's worked. I think that's worked really well for me.
If I were to have had a much wider time frame than the time that I did have, then I would include flashbacks of each of the lives of the two protagonists in these points here. I think this would have been more useful to the viewer and would have broken up the film a bit, making it slightly less repetitive. I would have probably had different ones depending on each scenario, again to break it up and make it more different. I think that this would have worked really well, but due to the time frame that I had, I wasn't able to fit it in. If I were to have had flashbacks in my film, then it would have made it even more hyper-conscious to the audience and relating back to past events that had happened. The intertextual links that I used, I decided to use Run Lola Run, as soon as I saw it, I really liked it. As I hadn't really, it was the first postmodern text that I'd seen, And I thought it was really different, and I liked that it had like one thing at the start could change the whole outcome, the butterfly effect. So after I'd seen it and then knew that we were making our own products, I knew that I wanted to do postmodernism, and my film does heavily relate back to Run Lola Run throughout. As you can see, it was a keen interest of mine. Also with the definition of destiny at the start makes it quite postmodern, as it already gives away to the audience what it is. And also I think that the font type I used on the titles made it quite postmodernism as well, as they were just really standard, there was nothing fancy about them, but they linked back to the definition the whole time. They're always the same as that font.
I think on the Destiny definition at the start, I think it was quite like a good idea, because it kind of set the scene for the film really, that it was going to be quite weird, which obviously featured in films like Pulp Fiction. I think it kind of really does set the scene for me that it's going to be into the film.
Different technologies that I used in creating this was obviously I used Photoshop, which was new to me. I'd never used it before, and I would definitely use it again, as it's just really quick and simple now I know how to use it. And you can get so many different effects on it. It always shows something different as well, which I did really like about it. I also used blogging. I enjoyed blogging, as it just had all the information that you needed there and then, and it just made it really simple to always look back at what you'd already done, and also it also helped you to plan things, and you could always have like your next ideas, and any time that you wanted to find something it was just there, and you knew that it would always be on your blog. I had issues with the watch, as you couldn't see it looking on the Max, as the light reflected onto the face of the watch, making it really difficult to see. So I just decided to eliminate this and just use fades to portray time, which worked quite well, and after getting audience feedback they were able to pick up that that's what it connoted.
I think that it worked really well with sort of the portrayal of time, and obviously we cut out the use of the watch quite a lot within, so that bit that just flashed there was obviously going to be seen as sort of what we used as obviously the portrayal of time. But I think the watch worked very well during we were filming. I think this is obviously a lot better solution.
After looking back at my productions and getting a lot of audience feedback, I think that all three of my products, my film, my poster and my review, work really well to complement each other, and I think they would work really well as a real media product, as the poster has a really strong image on that entices the audience in and makes people want to watch it. And the review, my review looks very similar to an Empire review, and I think that having such a strong name behind it also helps the viewer. I used a picture on my review that showed all aspects of my film, and I think that this helped, as it didn't really give too much away, but still told the viewer enough to make them want to go and see it. And what I wrote about my review also helped. It had good aspects and bad aspects, but after reading it again myself, still made me want to go and see it. I found making the poster really, really fun. I got to use a new software called Photoshop that I hadn't used before. I found it quite difficult to start with because I wasn't particularly confident, I didn't really know what I was doing. But after messing around with it, changing bits and bobs, I found it really, really fun and got really into it. I found that you could be really creative with it, which I enjoyed as well. Again, if I were to do this to make it more effective, I would have included a fade. I would have made the fade a lot longer, just to show that there is a clear transition there.